What's up, junkies? We are 3 weeks from the start of the season, and it is us in the flesh. Today, we're going to break down the offense, bringing up new players, old players, and prop bets for the season upcoming. Go Big Red.
45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go. Holy cow.
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. He gets better and better. Team is champion me. Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out.
In the Deed the Glory, Memorial Stadium captures the iconic journey of Nebraska's beloved stadium from its 1923 origins to its evolution into a 90,000 fan mecca today. This Nebraska public media documentary features interviews with legends like Tom Osborne and Eric Crouch and digs deep to uncover long-forgotten stories, including the 1990s stadium collapse and a hidden underground track. As we approach the 100th anniversary of this historic landmark, originally built to honor World War I heroes and financed solely by the Nebraska community, don't miss out. Watch this Sunday, August 13th at 7 p.m. Central on Nebraska Public Media and Facebook Live. Visit nebraskapublicmedia.org/Memorial Stadium for more.
What's up, guys? We're in studio.
I can't fucking wait.
For right now?
Yes.
For
no,
this?
no, but I'm sorry.
We actually have video. That's what I was drawing the attention
Yes,
to.
I'm
But, yeah.
so excited for this.
I thought you were talking
I
about.
can't fucking wait.
can't
Well,
for
the good
football
thing is
season.
you don't have to.
I'm
yet.
so excited. I don't know words.
I don't have to do my hands.
He's just been trying to get us on video for a while now. So
Oh, yeah.
this is working well for him.
Yes.
No, this is good. We're fun. Now you can actually see it. Now you can see what we're doing. When the ice rattles, you can see that it's real.
Realize?
When Matt pops the bottle or cracks the can, you're gonna see that it's real. So
Yep.
It's not just sound effects, folks. We're the Bill Belichick Patriots references. That's not a real drummer. I hate to break it to you. But we're here to break down the offense today. Our fearless statistician, however you say that, Jed.
Words.
The guy with all the numbers.
Sounds like an STD.
He's leading the show today. So
I am?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we would just go into like talking about some players that, who are you looking forward to the most? Like one of my first questions would have been like, obviously outside of Jeff Sims, because Jeff Sims is, I mean, you always start with the quarterback.
oh yeah.
Who is like your player that you think needs to be the guy that we think that they're going to be the most this season?
I think the most impactful guy on offense that I'm looking for is Jeff Sims, period. I think that
That's why I
if
said
he-
outside of Jeff Sims.
I said a couple weeks ago, I don't remember, a couple shows ago, I don't remember when it was for sure. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I referenced Cam Newton when talking about Jeff Sims. And then I think it was Borkature said that when talking about Jeff Sims in a postgame press conference just the other day, like this week. I was like, what the? All right. I like it. I'm not the only one who sees it. That's cool. And he made fun of him because he was like, yeah, he's going to have to bulk up a little bit if he's going to be Cam Newton. But
yeah.
he looks bigger. He does look bigger. I watched that, whatever the 30-minute clip was behind the scenes.
I haven't got a chance to watch that yet.
It's good stuff. It's all hype. It's like a 30-minute hype video.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of content. There's not even a lot of narration. I think it's like 5 or 6 minutes in before you actually hear anybody talk. It's just practice clips. It's just seeing behind the scenes stuff.
That's not really that surprising, that description, because I mean, Rule has said, and I think he said it in that Damon Benning interview that was through Hurrdat, where he said the videos that they do, you're not going to see a lot of players doing hype speeches. You're going to see more.
He doesn't want to see players talking
more action than talk. So
Yeah.
that doesn't surprise me that that's how that is being portrayed.
What I saw in his press
I
conference,
honestly don't mind that either.
No,
No.
absolutely, I love it.
I don't mind it at all.
They're out there to play.
Talk with your actions on the field.
Absolutely.
100%.
I saw I don't know if you watched the press conferences yet or not for this
yeah.
week. But he made mention of that. He's like, the guy who put this together, he's actually a student here.
Yep.
He's, it's shout out to that guy, whoever he is. He's doing a hell of a
No
job.
kidding.
But if we had his video techniques,
He's got me going.
we wouldn't have taken 45 minutes to get the show set up tonight.
Yeah, no
No
kidding.
kidding. Was it only 45 minutes?
It's a first run.
Still didn't do this yet, man.
Cheers to video,
Cheers
guys.
to finally, now you can actually see the
Cheers
cheers.
to our ugly faces.
Go
on your
Big
screen.
Red.
Even though me and Jed are not drinking outside of this shot tonight, so
You didn't drink during the shot, so
I did. I drank it. You guys just took forever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sure did.
but no, Jeff Sims is by far and away my big player on
Okay,
that.
so who's your second guy then?
My second
Since
guy.
you're not listening to my question
my-
when I
you know
said
who-
other
you-
than Jeff
you know
Sims.
who my second guy is?
BJ not listening.
He's that dude that I've been calling a pussy for 2 years.
Yeah.
No shit,
Yeah.
huh?
Ben Hart's got to be the Ben Hart that we expected. The Ben Hart that I was super excited for when he was getting recruited. He's got to be that dude because we cannot have just an open lane to the quarterback this year. I think that's going to be the biggest key to Jeff Sims' success is how that offensive line looks. And of anybody else that's there, there's too many questions about everybody else.
Yeah.
I know what Ben Hart's been, and he's been an absolute shit show. And if he's truly good enough
He
to have
wasn't
earned,
that bad in last season.
whatever.
Okay.
He was bad. He looked weak.
Especially the second half of the season.
He got
He was
bullied
bad
around
enough
by
for
dudes.
BJ to bully him.
He
on
got
this
bullied
podcast
around
the
by
entire
dudes that
time,
were 40, 50, 60 pounds smaller than him. And that I have a problem with that.
which is 90% of the league.
So he's going to be my second guy. You know what? I have full faith in what Rule is doing and what the staff is doing. And the fact that he has been a guy that they've talked about as a frontline starter guy from the beginning tells me that maybe he just didn't buy into what was going on before. Maybe he didn't like what was going on before. And that's part of why he was just playing like shit.
Like I said, second half of the season he played pretty well, but I also
From a penalties
I also
perspective,
can
yeah.
say no, he was playing pretty well, not just penalty wise, but at the same time he also set a low standard for himself. So me
what's
saying
pretty well, the
well,
whole offensive line was fucking terrible.
Pretty well for him.
he still didn't play like shit last year, the second half of last year.
Something that I will piggyback though on what you
Although,
just said.
and also last year in our season preview show, when I basically asked the same question, who do you think needs to be the dude? I said Ben Hart last year too.
Did you?
So yeah,
I should have gone back and listened to that one. I didn't. But no, something that does give me excitement though is you saying, "Oh, he was better in the second half." Well, guess what? That was the first year of Raiola being there.
Mhm.
Maybe that was some progress. If all the things we're hearing about all the offensive linemen so far this offseason and the way that they're all bigger and stronger and more agile and actually fully bought into the brotherhood and all that stuff, like if that stuff's real, that's awesome.
well, and you also have a situation with last season
Matt's
where
over here watching himself on camera.
I was
Just
checking to
loving
make sure it's working okay. God damn it.
you also have a situation last year where the offensive coordinator and the new offensive line coach did not see eye to eye. So then you have a situation where halfway through the season, when everything changes, me saying that I think, again, the team wasn't very good last year. So I'm not trying to portray them as they played great. But you also have a situation where maybe halfway through the season, Raiola was just like, fuck this. I'm doing my own thing because this is all changing anyway. And
Maybe.
like I said, I think that they did play better at the second half of last season. All reports are that these guys would die for Raiola right now.
Oh, yeah.
So
You heard it at Big Ten Media
No
Days.
kidding.
yeah,
If they had to choose,
Don't
they're
make
gonna
me
be-
say it,
they're,
coach.
They're dropping Rule off of a cliff before they drop Raiola.
yeah.
That's pretty big praise.
And you know what? If I'm the head coach, I want that.
Oh, absolutely.
I want my guys dying
Absolutely.
for their coach.
Yeah.
Not the team's coach, their coach.
Matt, do you have somebody other than Jeff Sims?
Billy
And don't
Kemp.
say Jeff Sims.
Billy Kemp. I know. I understand.
Love Billy Kemp.
I understand the question. I think Billy Kemp's going to be everywhere this year.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a playmaker. He's going to be.
He keeps getting name dropped by the coaches
He's
every
going to
time any
be-
wide receivers are brought up.
Well, he's the only one healthy. Right
I'm
now, but-
hoping he's going to be a better version of what like a Westerkamp was when he was playing. He's out there. He's making the plays that the
He doesn't
team
need to be a better
needs.
version. He can be Westerkamp, and I'll be very happy.
Yeah, let me
He's just
dream.
faster.
Let me dream high. Let me be excited about the fact that
Do it.
he looks like a playmaker, and so I think he's going to be the dude.
I mean,
And
you
I
said,
have
he's
a
gonna be
giant
everywhere.
hard on for Billy Kemp.
He's gonna be everywhere. Punt returns, receiving, all that stuff.
Yep. He's going to be on the field a lot.
When he was up on the podium, when he was talking last week, the dude's just a dog. Like, he's there to work. He says, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I don't give a fuck what the coaches want me to do. I'm doing it.
I'll be out there.
I will be out there busting my butt, giving everything I've got every second. He got me fired up the way he was talking.
Kind of get the feeling that if they told him to like go out and play defensive back, he'd
Okay, cool. Show me how.
next.
He'd
Yeah.
get
That's
out
the other
there
thing is
like
he's coaching.
the end.
Yeah.
He's not out there thinking he's a superstar and doesn't need anything.
He looks like he wants to be on the field.
Yeah,
all the time.
He made the comment 2 or 3 times just in the 5 minutes he was up there that, if they tell me to do that, I'm doing it. If they need that from me, I'm doing it. Yep.
He kind of gives me
That's
like
how you get that's a leader's mentality right there.
he gives me kid on the playground who's playing football. Like he just wants to be out there contributing. Love it. Who's your guy?
He's probably excited to be in some better facilities with better coaches than West Virginia too. Low bar.
Oh, shit.
I don't really. I mean, I know I gave you shit for taking Sims right away. I'm not taking Sims, but I have a hard time picking one guy because I think it's just more about the running back position, where we need somebody to step up. I know
I don't think it will be one guy.
Well, I know Satterfield has said we're running 2 or 3 guys like all the time, and these guys better be ready because in this league you have to run 2 or 3 guys to be able to be successful and everything else. So it's hard for me to say one guy. We just need the running back room to step up as a whole. I don't care who it is. We saw last year with Grant running all over the place in the first handful of games, and then he slid down, once he got into conference play and everything else, he kind of slowed up. Gabe Ervin has not stayed healthy for an entire season yet here at Nebraska, so we need him to step up and be healthy. Ramir Johnson, I think he's another guy kind of like a Billy Kemp where he's a dog. He'll play wherever. He just wants to be on the field.
He's a worker. Yeah.
Yes.
He's a worker.
He's a
Hardcore.
workhorse. Apparently, he's gotten a lot bigger in this offseason. I know a lot of people have, but Ramir Johnson's a little guy in general. So
I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that I actually just heard this today, that it looks like at practice that Grant is the speedy guy. He's the one with the most breakaway speed. And also, not to take over what you're talking about.
No, you're good.
For the running backs.
Yeah.
I heard today, like all we've been hearing about coming up to this week is Gabe Irvin's huge. Gabe Irvin's a leader. He looks like the definite number one. And all of a sudden this week, it sounds like they're kind of both getting equal. Him and Anthony Grant are getting equal shots with the first team. And Anthony Grant is like the guy who's shining. So,
and
that's what I find interesting.
I love to hear both of those things.
Oh, hell yeah.
it's great. We've all fawned over some of the pictures of Gabe Ervin and how big he's gotten and stuff, and that's great.
He is fucking huge.
But that doesn't automatically mean he's going to be a great running back. I mean,
No,
so
I'm
it's-
saying
No, yeah.
I want.
it's cool that these guys
I
are
thought
getting bigger.
Grant
but-
already looked like a number one running back
Yes.
last year,
Yes.
and so I want to assume he's at least the same, if not progressed. Hopefully, fucking.
If
Progressed.
you can have two dudes
And you
out
got
there,
two
there's
fucking
no drop-off.
workhorses. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
They-
yeah.
You're rotating them in and out. You're always fresh. You are pounding
Well,
that rock.
Especially with Irvin looking more, he looks like a Big Ten back. He's a little bit bigger. He's definitely got the strength, it looks like. And if he's going to be the guy that's going to come in the fourth quarter when we are up by a touchdown and we just need to get some first downs and he can grind out 3.5 yards a run, perfect. Because if Anthony Grant is out there and he's, at halftime last year, the first 4, 5, 6 games, it seemed like by halftime he had 100 yards on the scrimmage sheet already and didn't do much the second half because he was tired.
Yep.
And I don't think we're going to see near as much of that across the board because of the conditioning and stuff that we're hearing about. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Every single one of those players looks physically different. Have you seen this side by side with Ben Scott?
I was just gonna say, did you send me that? I couldn't remember.
Dude, Ben Scott looked like a drunk college kid that was hung over in the one picture, and that was after a practice.
Yep.
And then the other picture was right after a practice too, and he was like,
Yeah.
his head looked small, like Morrid shape. I don't know. These guys all just look strong. Every single one of
He
them.
honestly looked just like more of an adult, which could be some of it too. is that these players are just maturing a little bit as well.
Yeah.
These are all young men, obviously, but goddamn, some of them look like finely tuned machines out there right now.
It makes me think about last year when I think I sent you guys this picture, but it was a normal picture. There was no editing to it. Scott Frost was walking down off the curb, and 3 linemen, Ben Hart, and I can't remember who the other 2
I remember
were
that,
walking
yeah.
up on the curb, and
I think
it
Husker
looked
was
like
next
he
to him.
was photoshopped into
Yeah.
the picture because they were so big, but they looked like me walking down the street. They looked like lumbering, kind of chubby dudes who were just huge. And not that I'm kind of chubby, I'm very chubby, but I didn't want to get anybody excited about that. You can clearly see me now. Like, you know that I'm a fat
Video
motherfucker. Now. There's no more hiding that. But no, but I think back to the way those guys looked in that picture. I'm like, oh yeah, those are some huge guys. The guys looking right now, like some of the guys that are coming up to the podium, off the top of my head, I can't remember which linemen have been up there, but they do not look.
Ben Hart was just up there.
I haven't seen
yesterday
I haven't
or
seen
2
him
days
talk
ago,
yet.
whatever that was.
I haven't seen any players yet from this week, but they look like pictures you see from old posters from Nebraska offensive linemen back in the day, in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they look like mean dudes. They look like dudes who are not just big. They are muscular. They are large. They're in charge. And it got me very excited to see a couple of those guys up there like that.
Sticking with the offensive line, we also heard, I think it was Rule or Raiola. Well, I guess they talked on the same day.
Rule and Raiola both spoke yesterday.
Yeah, Tuesday. They were talking about the offensive line, and Rules, I believe it was Rule that said, we want to have 7 guys that we can trust. If we can have more than that,
8
great.
or 9, awesome.
Cool.
We need 7.
We talked about this on one of our previous shows, or I asked the question, are we kind of sleeping our offensive line with, we got Piper coming back with 10 starts on his belt. We got Prohaska. Hopefully he'll be ready for the start of the season. We've got Ben Scott, who's played a shit ton at Arizona State. Ben Hart, no matter what you want to say about him, he's played a ton of football.
He's got a lot of snaps.
And Newelli's coming back. So you at least got an experienced 5.
And Newelli's coming back with something to prove after last year.
And then you got Corcoran, who has been all over the offensive line, played a ton of football. There's 6. And also yesterday when Raiola was talking, they were talking about Henry Lutovsky all the time. So that might be their 7. They've also brought up Evans Jenkins, who was one of the backup centers. He can also play guard and stuff like that. It sounds like we might have the 7.5 to 8 offensive linemen that they feel comfortable with.
It also sounds like most of them are interchangeable.
Yeah.
And the 2 outside spots.
Yeah.
It sounds like Ben
Corcoran
Scott
can play everybody.
is lined up at center. And I didn't realize this. I didn't realize he actually started every game last year at Arizona State.
Yeah.
He's played a lot too.
Yeah, he's played a ton.
And I'm excited about it.
He had 704 snaps last year.
I think as much as it's been talked about now, I don't know that anybody's really sleeping on the offensive line. I'm just more in kind of like you guys said all year last year. Prove it. I'm in wait and see.
I would definitely hope that I'm impressed and not disappointed.
Yeah.
I feel like now that it's been talked about so much, I'm going to be one of the 2. I'm either going to think I did sleep on them.
I'm going to be real
and they
pissed.
do look good, or I slept on them because it was sleepy time because they're not that good.
It's hard to sit here as a Nebraska fan watching this team over the last handful of years in a bad offensive line and say, and with a lot of guys, I just listed off 5 guys that are returning.
Yes,
and
it's
say,
been hard to be a
hey,
Husker fan over the last.
You're right.
5
But specifically talking about the offensive line.
There, Jim.
I know. But specifically talking about the offensive line, it's like, yes, we have a lot of these guys returning, but they weren't very good. But, it's one of those delicate balances of kind of like the Colorado conversation with Deion Sanders. Everybody's like, get all those players out of there because they sucked anyway. It's like, well, you coach them, you can develop them, you can get better with experience, age, all those things. Just because they always have been doesn't mean they always will be.
There's also something
stole it from Damon Benning. I'm sorry, but
no, you're right.
There's
something to be said.
He was right too.
Yeah,
there's something to be said too for being second year in Raiola's system.
Mm-hmm.
Some continuity there because they were also last year coming off of he was new to them last year, and like you said, with him and Whipple not seeing eye to eye, he didn't really get to implement and do the things that he wanted to do, and that's. I know we've talked about it on a previous show about Rule, but his ability and his desire to sit back and let his coaches coach.
Yes.
And then if he needs to, after the fact, correct something or find out why they did it, maybe learn from it. But he's not sitting over there telling them, I don't like the way you're doing that. Let's change that up. He's not second guessing everybody.
I'll tell you, I mean, kind of going off a little bit, but these press conferences that they have after some of these practices, I love, and I know that they probably won't do this during the season because, you know, you always change where it's typically just the coach and the coordinators that talk
Sure.
for the most part. But I don't remember this happening during the offseason where all of these assistant coaches are talking. The amount of players that are talking, different players that are talking.
They all seem like they want to.
You never see the same player up there. There's always a different rotation of 3 or 4 guys. And these guys that are coming up there, and they're all so good.
At talking, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. Every single one of them.
Like,
It seems like they're all paying attention.
We talked about this on the special teams show about how all these different players they're bringing in, all the different guys that they're really attaching themselves to and coaching up in, they sound the same. They're doing the walks like a duck, talks like a duck thing. It's, you know, the funny thing is, thinking about what you just said, for the last regime under Frost was, you know, he just kind of didn't care. He was up there. Yeah, I got to be here. I got to do this. And a lot of the players, players that he sent up to that podium did the same type of stuff. You know, thinking about his time here, there was really only a handful, maybe 1 or 2, 3 guys that I can think of. Adrian Martinez was always good on the podium, but he always just kind of looked like a whipped puppy.
Outside of his first year, yeah.
He kind of was.
Outside of his first year, yeah.
But I mean, that mentality from the head coach down, it's going to seep into everybody. And if you're annoyed with everything outside of the program, if you're constantly upset that you got to go have these conversations and you got to talk to these people, what are your assistants going to think? And then what are their players going to think?
Not to mention you seem like you're annoyed that you have to coach football and do your job.
Yeah.
Interrupting my golden tea time.
Yeah.
Come on.
Or as Matt would talk about, is Cone Cave Bear time.
Yeah. Golden tea time.
Yeah.
White powder time. Pick color. Pick pronoun.
Pick color.
I just love, other than all, like I said, the players, I love that we're hearing from all of the assistant coaches on a consistent basis. And just like they're just rotating through them.
I wonder if his reasoning behind that is because of the way that they're practicing, and that practice is so big and intense that he doesn't get to see everything. Like he's having to trust a lot in his coaches right now because,
but also not just developing players, he's developing coaches.
Oh yeah,
don't you want that?
Oh yeah.
So I don't want a head coach that needs to see everything in order to make it work.
Oh
I
yeah,
agree.
You can trust the guys that you hired.
Exactly.
It's how many times have we talked about it? And it seems like we're beating a dead horse comparing Frost to now, but. How many times did we talk about different coaches or assistants that he wasn't getting along with?
Oh, yeah.
Or that there was a problem with that. Matt's over here hallucinating.
So what? There's a spider. Sorry.
What the fuck?
You turn on a camera one time when you can't do all the weird shit you normally do during a show. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't have said anything about it, but I know that somebody just watched you go,
there's a little spider here.
It did look super psychedelic where you were just like,
the schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
I wanted to see what Frost was seeing last year.
Jesus Christ.
To your point, like, calling back to Coach Raiola, do you think he's having more fun this year?
Oh, he seems... Last year...
He's a completely different coach.
We didn't get to see him talk more than once or twice last year all season long.
And I don't think he talked at all during the season.
He spoke once in the spring this year, and he still seemed a little meek, a little small. Like, he didn't... When he spoke yesterday on Tuesday, he had a fire in what he was talking about. And he was like, he's standing up there. He also looks like he's gotten in. Have you seen that? Terrence Knighton, Raiola, Rule, they all look like they've lost weight this week.
I actually didn't see Raiola talking. I just heard.
I think there's been
competition
going on.
I had it on my TV and I was in the other room listening to it.
They're all working their butts off, but he had this like, I'm up here. I'm fired up. Yep. I'll answer whatever question. He's not a long talker like a lot of the coaches are. He's not really well put together with the stuff he says, but he's up like he's what I want out of a line coach.
Yeah.
He's straight. He's up. Yep. Answer the questions. That's what I'm doing.
And by the way,
But
when I say I was in the other room, I was on the toilet.
But he's engaging.
He felt good about being up there.
Yes,
That's the biggest
he
difference.
feels pride in what he's doing right now.
The
You can
biggest
tell.
thing that I'm seeing, especially in all the coaches, is they feel good about what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's
I mean,
exciting. It's exciting.
Yes.
It goes back to, I know Wager's gone, but when I was talking to Wager at the College World Series, and I was telling him all these things that, his boss says and, the things that they do and stuff, I said, when they say we need to earn the right for this and that, whatever. And Wager's immediate response was, and we will. Like the conviction, that's the way these coaches are. They believe what's going on right now. And that is one of the things that I think is going to take us a long way.
It's not just the coaches, though. You see it in all the players. You see it in every player that's gotten up there.
It's infectious.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see.
You guys got any other, players that you kind of are watching or anything?
Marcus Washington getting healthy is a big thing for me.
For sure.
It sounded like he had made his way all the way back. He was looking electric in practice for 5 minutes and got hurt again. So,
well, since you brought up Washington, I'm sorry, Matt, did you have somebody?
Completely different. So you go with that first.
No. I was going to go into one of my questions. So
have we heard anything else out of the wide receiver room at all?
Just, half of them are injured. Nothing. It doesn't sound like anything serious. But,
are you surprised that we haven't heard much about Malachi Coleman?
Well, he hasn't been practicing the last couple of days because he's got a nagging injury too.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
What's he injured with? Is it...
I don't know.
That's
Xavier Betts, Malachi, and Marcus Washington.
The receivers is probably my biggest question mark for the offense so far.
Yeah.
Just because
I thought that was going to be the best room.
Outside of the man, the myth, the legend, Billy Kemp, I don't honestly know who's going to perform this year. And who's going to be healthy this year, like you just mentioned.
That's been my big thing that I've been telling people I know when I went out on my family vacation, my family reunion thing a couple weeks ago. People were asking me about Nebraska and all this stuff, and I would ask them, I go, name me some playmakers on offense. And the silence is pretty much what I would get.
The people that I assume is going to be Anthony Grant is the major playmaker that's coming back for us.
Okay, so my next question would be, name me a playmaker that you can trust.
Yeah. We've got
there's a lot of
injury history all over the field.
There's a lot of proving that needs to be done this year.
That's my point.
And early.
I don't know right now. Can things develop and all those things? Of course. But I can't sit here right now and say that I know any playmakers on this offense. And I'm not just talking about a Trey Palmer that's going to run 70 yards, and he just scored another touchdown on Iowa, by the way. But I'm not even talking about a guy like that because
I hear he's killing it in Tampa Bay right now.
He's a one in a whatever. I don't know who the hell's throwing him the ball, but he might be killing it.
Is that Baker Mayfield down there right now?
And Kyle Trask. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
But I don't know who the playmakers are on this offense. I can't sit here and be overly optimistic on what this offense is going to do when I don't really have anybody that I trust.
I think Fedoni
right now
is going to be a major playmaker.
I hope so.
If he's healthy. But like we just said, it's everybody on offense, everybody we're excited to see this year on offense for the most part has injury history. Even Jeff Sims has injury history.
Yeah.
Billy Kemp was injured a lot last year.
Look at Prohaska.
You look out there every play of every
You look
game.
everywhere.
I hope so.
Anthony Grant and Bryce Benhart are basically the only two people, and Ben Scott are the only three people that we know for sure don't have last season nagging injury history.
Well, Newelly, but that was a suspension.
Well, I don't even know what he was doing.
Yeah.
So maybe he was hanging out with the coaches a little too much.
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
I'm not going to stop unless somebody tells me.
We don't need to be going acting like we think players were doing that.
Oh, definitely not. It was easy pickings. Yeah. I didn't mean to say that. It was all
that might
jokes,
be
folks.
That might be getting cut.
We're not going to cut it, but
all right, let's go into our prop bets for the season for offense. I'll start just with the guy that you have a hard on for. Billy Kemp catches.
Yes.
I put the number at 69.5.
Of course you did.
Damn right.
It's a nice number.
Nice.
I almost thought about doing it at 75.5 because the record for most receptions in a season for Nebraska is from Marlon Lucky is 75. I don't know that he's going to get that's a
in your
high
first year.
Number.
In your first year, you're learning a new system, a new quarterback. That'd be really difficult to do.
Well, Trey Palmer had 71 last year, so Trey Palmer has the most for a receiver at Nebraska at 71. Kemp had 67 in the 2020 season in 10 games. He had 74 in 2021 in 12 games.
Was he the only dude, though, on that offense catching balls?
Basically, yeah.
Because that's my thing about last year was Trey Palmer was the only dude on a regular basis catching balls for us.
That's kind of what I was asking is he going to be the only dude catching balls this year?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm just going to go into my answer. I'm going to take the under at 69.5, just simply because I think we have enough dudes in that room, even with injuries. I think that ball gets spread around. And the way that this offense is, I'd be interested to see what Satterfield's wide receivers looked like last year, but he was also a co-offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. And from what it sounds like, there is about half of what we saw last year from that offense at South Carolina is what we can expect to see from this.
So you asked how many other guys at Virginia was they really thrown to. 2021, when Billy Kemp had 75 receptions, he actually was number 2 in receptions for Virginia.
Oh, damn.
They just didn't run the ball.
Kalian Thompson had 77 catches.
Jesus.
Wow.
And then they had another guy who had 57 catches, but he had almost twice as many yards. That's one of the big things with Billy Kemp. He's not a home run guy. His longest reception.
No, he's a slot, middle of the field, get him the ball.
Yeah. His longest reception at Virginia for his entire career was 32 yards for Billy Kemp.
Wow.
So he's not a guy that's going to get a shit ton of yards or anything. He's just going to get a lot of fucking catches.
Yeah. Well, and if he's gonna run in the slot, and there's gonna be a lot of that dink and dunk stuff, which I think that's kind of part of what
it's easier to do with
this offense looks. Yeah, I think I don't know. I just think that there's enough to go around, and the way we're going to utilize our tight ends, I don't know if he's going to get a shot to get to that 70-75 mark, especially with how much we're going to run the ball.
I'll tell you, my answer has a lot to do with the fact that BJ was wrong a lot last year.
Oh, those preseason ones, he was a wrong guy.
I was real wrong last year.
So I'm gonna take the over. I don't think it's gonna be much over. 3, 4, maybe 5 catches.
You think he breaks the record?
I don't think it might get close. Like you were saying, he might not get the most yards, but he could get a lot of catches in there, especially as we see some injuries accumulate throughout the season. I could see him at 72, 73, 74, maybe breaking the record, but I'm going to take the over because...
And if he plays all 12 games, that's
a big thing. So I'm going with the over. Jed?
I wanted to go with the under initially when I was doing this question.
And then BJ took the under, and you were like, can't do that.
Well, I can't do that now.
No, honestly, my biggest thing was the report of all the injuries. I think I hope that he is healthy all year. I hope everybody's healthy all year, but that's just not logical.
Not realistic.
And with these other guys already having whatever they are, whether they're going to be nagging or long-term or whatever else, he might be the only standing bear in there all the time and the only reliable one that Jeff Sims has. So I kind of want to just go with the over because I think he might be the only guy that's going to be there on a consistent basis.
Sure.
The guy that Jeff Sims is going to rely on the most. And so I think with that aspect, I'm going to go with the over because
he could catch
of that.
80 balls and not go over 1,000 yards.
Oh, absolutely.
Do we know how much running the running back out to catch balls in the flat is going to be a thing in this offense? Do we know anything about that?
Nah, I don't think we're going to really know that until we see it.
Because
I really don't.
Last year we ran some of that stuff, but Grant was not the one out there catching balls, and so I'm just wondering if it's going to be him and Gabe Ervin. Gabe Ervin, I don't know if he catches balls or not, but he doesn't look like the guy who's going to be out there, screening and stuff like that. So I don't know. You could be right, but I'm staying under on it.
No, I mean it makes sense.
Honestly, I feel like 70 was a good number.
It is a good number.
I'll just stick with
69 was better.
It was nicer for sure.
This was going to be my last question, but I'll just stay with the receiving component. Who will lead the team in receiving yards? Like you kind of just said, he could get 80 catches, but might not lead the team in receiving. I just told you about 2021 at Virginia. He had 20 more receptions than the top receiving guy as far as yards. And he had like 700 and something yards. Billy Kemp did. The leading guy had 1,200 something.
Sure.
So, that disparity, just because you have the most amount of catches, doesn't necessarily mean anything.
sure.
So the top guys that I listed is for who will have the most receiving yards, and that could be wide receiver, tight end, hell, even a running back. Obviously, Kemp, Betts, Washington, any of the tight ends, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, or somebody else.
Mine's going to be IGC. I don't know if he is playing or if he's practicing at 15, number 15 right now. I don't know if it's online or not. I don't think those roster
Some of the numbers are
up to date.
changing. If you haven't
Yeah.
noticed, they've awarded some.
But he was
numbers.
15 before.
Well, they're doing the vote this week on the single-digit numbers.
I think he was
I thought they
15.
awarded like 5 or 6.
Unless they did it today, I hadn't heard.
I think they did.
I don't know. I haven't heard yet. But
saw
I know
Sims
those
was wearing
numbers
the
are going
number
to change.
7.
But he was 15 before, and I know that with the other guys dinged up, I think he's been out there a lot. That dude's in the 30-minute video that we were talking about. He caught 2 or 3 touchdowns just in like a 5-minute clip there.
Yeah.
He was a long, he was a long shot outside guy when he was in the games last year before he decided to bail on us.
Well, you know how much I loved him going into last
Yeah.
season. I picked him as the most receiving yards, stuff.
I'm in a toss up for that because, like I said, I think Billy Kemp's going to be in the slot a lot. I think he's going to be catching a lot across the middle, short. There's not going to be a ton of long ball opportunity for him, and I think especially if Betts and Marcus Washington are having injury problems, I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity on those deep balls, and he could be seeing 4, 5, 6 100-yard games.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as yards go, I'm going with IGC just as an outside shot.
Makes sense.
I'm going to continue with Kemp just because he's got the biggest dick in the room. I don't
Prove it.
I don't want to get arrested.
Oh boy.
I don't know. Especially if we can get some decent blocking downfield, and I don't know how much they're working with that, especially with injuries. But
I was just going to say, is some of that because based on what I kind of said as far as
Tight end blocking is
Who's
going
gonna
to
be
big
healthy?
thing being
Yeah.
worked on.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It's if he's going to be the guy out there, I don't see anybody getting over 1,000 yards unless somebody can stay healthy for the full season.
Yeah.
So he's going to be my guy until I'm proven wrong.
I think we really could see some nice numbers out of our tight end group too.
I do too. I don't know if we see the same amount of yardage, but we could definitely use them up some.
Yeah, we need him. I'm going to take a flyer, and I know I just talked about the injury stuff and whatever else, but I'm taking a guy that is injured right now, but it's also probably more than likely our best deep threat because he is athletic freak.
Talking about Betts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Betts.
Man, I was in love with Betts coming into last
I
season.
know. There was a lot of talk about, I think it was Jeff Sims that said something, or maybe it was one of the other guys, that some of the catches that they're seeing Betts make in practice are just ridiculous.
He's got
That he's the fastest guy on the team.
Yeah.
Well,
or at least one of them. I don't know who is.
I thought his 40 was the fastest time.
I don't know. I'm just
Somebody,
saying he's up
I don't
there.
remember if it was Rule or who it was. Somebody, I'm pretty sure this week, referenced in a press conference, he's the fastest guy on the team.
Yeah. And that said, he's got like a knee injury that's nagging him right now. Is that right? I don't know what it is.
Rule didn't say what it was.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
All I saw was that he was projected to be available for the start of the season.
Yeah. All of those wide receiver injuries, they're not
If he
expected
can
to be.
fully get rid of that,
Yeah.
that might honestly change my answer just because he can catch a few of those deep balls. And
Well, and he said he expected Marcus Washington back at practice, in a couple
Saturday,
days.
yeah.
Because it sounded like he just landed weird, and he said initially it looked bad.
just a stinger or
And-
what?
It was on his
It was-
wrist, like a wrist.
Yeah, he said initially it looked bad, and that he shook it off, and they think he's going to be okay in a couple days. So
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
always scary to see.
and
in
again, we're
practice.
doing this 3 weeks before the season starts. There
Yeah.
could be a lot of changes, whether it's unfortunate injury or whatever else. We're making our predictions
miraculous
right now. so-
recovery is the
yeah.
opposite of that.
they're also in the midst of a 2-week cycle of the hardest football training that they've probably ever done in their lives. They're all required to stay on campus. They're all sleeping like shit in dorms on twin beds that aren't theirs. They are not
And that
allowed to
don't
see
fit
their
them.
family. They're not allowed to see
They're
their
putting in
girlfriends.
80 hours just for football this week.
Yeah, they're not doing anything but the hardest training of their life right
That
now.
sounds amazing.
The whole point of this is to make the next 2 weeks leading up to the season and the first game feel like light work. That's the whole point of this. And it's actually something when Rule was talking about it, it made me instantly think of, I don't know if either one of you watched it yet, that quarterback show on Netflix. No. I know I talked about it.
I just don't know how I feel about watching a weatherman play football.
That's beside the fact. What I'm getting at is the way that Patrick Mahomes trains. And his trainer talks about, like, they do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Monday is the most intense training of the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't remember what it was for sure. But the first day of the 3 days of training that he does every week is the hardest. It's the most intense. It's the fastest. It's everything. And that way, then as he's going through, and I'm fucking this up talking about it, but if you watch the show, it's in like episode 3 or 4 where you meet his trainer and they talk about all that stuff. The whole point is so that when he plays in the game, it feels like the medium day. It doesn't feel like the fastest and the hardest day. So things are slower.
Well, we've talked about that before. That's what all of the 90s Huskers always talked about.
Yeah.
Practice was the hard part of the week. Games were the easy part. That's the way it was.
I'm interested to see how much of this
Clearly it worked out.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
full contact practice stuff continues throughout the season. But he was also talking about
the limitations on all that. It's hard to do.
You also have to expect that there will be a weekly regimen that they get into that they will come to expect. And so the way the coaches will change that up from week to week will be very minimal.
Yeah. Well, their practice schedule, Rule was talking about it on Tuesday. He was saying, he does a weird thing where he flexes the second day of practice in the week to essentially give him an extra 8 hours of recovery time.
Yeah.
So he'll do like morning on Tuesday, evening on Wednesday to open that recovery time window up a little bit more. And
I like that a lot.
yeah, I mean, he's got all the sports science guys working for him and doing all this stuff.
But I mean, as far as like going hard during the week, you only have 4 days of practice regardless.
I wonder, too, if some of this injury stuff that we're seeing is just the fact that it is this intense of work coming right off of not practicing. This is your first 2 weeks.
You're getting your body used to it.
Yeah, this is your first 2 weeks. You're headed into your what are they calling it now? Is it just fall camp or what are they
Training.
calling it?
Well, it's basically
They're calling it training camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fall yet. It's summer.
That's what it is.
Whatever.
But heading in,
through the season,
going from only weightlifting and working out with players to boom, the most intense work of the year. Maybe that's where some of these tweaks and little things that they might be a little more used to this stuff, and it's not going to happen as much when we get into the season. I'd love to see it.
So we hear that the fullback is back. So I'm going to go touchdowns by the fullback at 3.5.
Is the fullback actually going to be carrying the ball much, though?
I don't know.
The fullback is
Everybody's drooling about the fullback being
He's a
back.
blocker.
the fullback is going
Because
to be
they're
a
all remembering
guard,
Andy Janovich rumble for 45 yards for a
And the
touchdown.
Makovickas and all that stuff. Yeah, I know.
which was fun to watch. Let's be real. Who doesn't love watching
But
a
Rule
bowling
loves
ball
to
carry
talk
the
about
ball?
it. Satterfield loves to talk
Yeah,
about
'cause
it.
It gets people excited.
I know. It's red meat. I get it.
They know their audience.
Yes.
So I already know BJ's answer, but I'm going to let him say it.
For touchdowns by a fullback?
3.5.
I'm going under.
Yeah, me too. It's
Yeah.
going to be. I'll be really impressed if we even get 2. We're gonna get 1 in an early game.
We have
because
5 on the roster right now. So
We're gonna get 1 touchdown in an early game because we're gonna be in a position and they're gonna be like, do it. Make
the Northern Illinois or Louisiana Tech game is
make
gonna get
the sea of red explode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the first home game.
But that's gonna be the situation.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be driving down the field on Wisconsin hoping to win the game and putting a fullback in for a touchdown. That's not gonna be a thing.
No.
We'll put him in to block for a touchdown.
Absolutely.
That's
And
what he's
they
there
better
for. Yeah,
fucking
That's
make
the whole
their
purpose
block.
of a fullback is to block for those.
They score
But,
touchdowns.
but what about throwing the ball to
Those
the
are
fullback?
practically trick plays.
I don't see that stuff a lot in this. When you're going to see something like that is when you're going to see a tight end line up at fullback.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
will he be classified as a fullback?
No, I
getting a
mean,
touchdown
I'm talking just the guys that are listed on the roster at fullback.
at fullback.
Yes,
not at fullback.
not a guy
/tight
that
end.
lined up as a
when
fullback.
one of
I'm
those
not talking about
guys
that.
scores a touchdown,
It's definitely in my
it'll be
opinion
a fluke
under.
or a trick play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 inches to goal, and it's going to be one of those
Absolutely.
turn and instant handoff
Yeah.
as opposed to the fakes to the running
If
back.
you're 6 inches of the goal, I hate handing the ball off. Just
Yes,
fucking
Especially with a
go.
quarterback of the size of Jeff
I don't
Sims.
even care if he's a midget back there. Why are
I
you
would.
turning around running 4 yards backwards when you have 6 inches to go?
Well, you're not when you have a fullback. That's the point.
Well, I know. Then why are you going 2 yards backwards? No, just go under center and go forward.
So the under
Hate
is
it.
what we're hearing.
I know.
I would absolutely love to be able to put ourselves in a position, Matt, get ready, put ourselves in a position to be just like we used to be.
Premature.
And like it always has been when Tom Brady is under center and at goal line.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? We have a good enough offensive line and a quarterback that knows what he's doing well enough with this, and we practice it well enough that it does not matter what you do right now. You are not going to stop this QB sneak that's going to get the 6 inches.
And by the way, that means you need to be comfortable going under center,
yes.
which a lot of teams in college right now are not. We
Yeah.
were not last year.
We saw that with Adrian Martinez a
Absolutely.
few times over the years.
Yeah.
So
I guess not even
how
just
many
last year.
fucking
The
fumbles
last
did we
4
see in those
years.
situations?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He didn't know how to
Yep.
get in there.
Yep.
I couldn't think of any appropriate way to say what I wanted to, but he didn't know how to do it.
All right, sticking with touchdowns. Which position group will lead the team in touchdowns? Running back, wide receiver, or tight end? Just to give a little, history, whatever. First of all, most touchdown passes in a season for Jeff Sims is 13 touchdowns. In 2022, we had 10 running back touchdowns, 13 receiving touchdowns. I'm not even going to say the tight end touchdowns because it was 4, 3, 1, and 1 for the last 4 years, and so basically we didn't use the tight end. Now, granted, I think we're going to use the tight end more
Kind of
this
wild.
year.
Kind of wild to hear that when we put a tight end in the NFL.
Yeah,
Well, actually.
yeah, but
We
I
couldn't
think
do jack shit in the red zone.
yeah, I think we'll
You're
use
not wrong there, kid.
we'll use the tight end more this year, hopefully at least. So who knows? And we have some really good tight ends to be able to diversify that. And there's going to be probably a lot of 2 tight end sets.
I
But
sure hope so.
in 2021, we had more running back touchdowns than receiving touchdowns. 2020, we had more receiving touchdowns than running back touchdowns. It kind of flip-flopped. So in the last 5 years, we had the running backs have more touchdowns 3 times, the receivers 2 times, and even in all of them, they were super close. Like 2018, it was 17-16. So those have been pretty close throughout the years.
Yeah.
So which position group do you think will have the most touchdowns for us?
Running backs. I first of all, your numbers listening to the last couple of years, I think our offense is going to have better numbers in general. I think we're going to score more touchdowns. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities to see Jeff Sims probably break all of his career highs from a rushing perspective, passing, and from a touchdown perspective.
None of Jeff Sims' numbers matter in this as far as him.
No.
personally.
I know.
Okay,
You didn't
I
say
just
quarterback.
I just
'cause
wanted to make okay. Yeah,
That's my other thing is I think in the red zone we're going to see a lot more QB run type stuff, design run plays. I think we're going to see legit they're not going to say it out loud beforehand, but I think you will legitimately see some actual round the end option play out of this offense. I think Satterfield seems to be on this crusade of bring back some old school shit, and the fullback huddling up. Not to get off topic, he made the comment the other day when he was up on the podium. They said, how much is it going to slow down the game for us? This and that. He referenced the fact that they huddled up in South Carolina, but the majority of their snaps came before the 17-second mark on the play clock. And you think about that, you think about a huddle. That doesn't tend to happen together. So it'll be interesting to see how that
kind of
translates.
comes down to how efficient your huddle game is. I mean,
It absolutely does.
if you can get in the huddle and say, this is the play and everybody knows what they're doing, it doesn't take that long to break the huddle and get the fuck out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see. I think by far and away the running backs, just because we are going, I wouldn't be shocked to see a 50%, 55%, 60 to 65% focus on the run game. A percentage of our plays.
The play calls.
So I truly think that's that, plus having the electricity that we have in the running back.
But it kind of goes back to our previous conversation, though. Do we have the electricity in our running back room
Oh yeah, I think so.
We definitely have at least a
We
couple
saw it in
great
Anthony
horses
Grant.
there.
If he's being
for 4
pushed,
games?
whatever. behind a bad offensive line. We're assuming the offensive line is better.
That is the fucking key there.
I'm telling you. My prediction is the running backs.
Okay. And
I think we're gonna have more touchdowns from.
I think
rushing.
this question comes down to two big factors. A, what the offensive line looks like. If the line is as improved as we think it's going to be, running backs is the safe bet all day long. Second thing is, what is Jeff Sims' presence in the red zone? We had zero presence in the red zone last year. We couldn't complete a pass. We couldn't run the ball because they knew we couldn't complete a pass. And we
couldn't find a hole.
We need to have. There's a joke in there about finding a hole. That's what threw me off. we need to have the.
Jen's over here hyperventilating, waiting for it to come out.
We need to have the diversity in the red zone in order for anything to work. And so I think it's going to be close, but I think running backs is definitely the safer bet.
Okay. The other question for you, you said there's two questions. I think the third question that's important is we don't know what this offense looks like yet.
Bingo.
And how is this going to be a chunk play offense, or is this going to be a steady Eddie
dink and dunk, whatever?
Dink and dunk.
Passing game is really good at 4 plays
game.
Every single down. It doesn't matter. You're always going to run the ball.
That's what I mean. Are we getting chunk plays constantly, or is this going to be, we're getting on the field and we're taking our time with every single snap, with every single march down the field slowly? Or is this going to be, 5 plays? Well, defense, you're back up.
Could kind of depend on how much Billy Kemp gets used in the offense. Just saying.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to go with the wide receivers, kind of going off of something that you said where, and you alluded to it with Sims in the red zone, running option plays or whatever. I think Sims is going to take away some touchdowns from the running backs. So
you think he's going to run it himself?
Yeah. I think Sims is going to get some red zone
possible.
touchdowns in that aspect himself.
I wish this question would have been rushing or passing.
Yeah. Well, that'd be an easier question for sure.
Yeah.
But
because also wide receivers could get a rushing touchdown.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, running backs could get a receiving touchdown. So that could go both ways as well. But I think with what you guys talked about with the red zone situations and the running game of Jeff Sims and the possibility of that, I think that might take away touchdowns from the running backs. So that's why I'm going to take the wide receivers.
Yeah, I get it.
I hope that it's close, and I hope that the numbers are high.
I agree.
Hell yeah.
We'll go to the running game, I guess. Who will lead the team in rushing? And that could be any player. So top guys, Sims, Irvin, Grant, Ramir Johnson, other.
I got to go with Anthony Grant just because he's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only reason.
That was literally my same answer, and I think he and Irving are going to be close.
Yeah. I think Sims could push forward too because I think they truly intend to run him a lot.
I think it kind of depends on what it really depends on how our offense performs in the first couple of games of the season because that's how defenses are going to plan on us the rest of the year. And so if we show a ton of one thing or the other, then it might open up so that he can run a lot in the later part of the season. But if he's running a ton early, they're going to spy him. He's not going to run the ball hardly at all.
I'm not 100% sold that they're going to run him a lot in those words.
What's a lot?
Well, that's one
big
question that I would have.
The big question this last week, I've seen it on a bunch of different media, is how many times a quarter are they going to run Jeff Sims?
Well, Jerry DiNardo brought that up in the Big Ten thing when they were here at practice last Friday.
And he was like, I don't see it more than a couple times a quarter.
Yeah.
But I saw people putting poll questions out asking, 10 to 15 times a quarter? How many fucking snaps do you think we're going to get in a quarter?
Yeah.
You think we're running our quarterback 50 times?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
fuck off.
Even if you're on the bottom end of that, 40 times out of what, 50 or 60, 70
you
plays?
don't see a NFL running back get that many carries in a game.
I think,
right off.
I think the big thing about DiNardo said where running him 2 times a quarter at most, that can be a little deceptive because does that mean just called run plays
I think he was
or
going
scramble?
for design,
Because
design
so
wise.
like you could have 5 runs in a quarter, but 3 of them could be scrambles.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost more likely that they run on a scramble than on a design run play.
So, I mean, also back to the whole run him a lot. He could have whatever number it will be as far as number of carries, but how many of them are designed runs, how many of those are scrambles, and all that stuff. So, I don't know what that number would be as far as what's a lot. But we've also seen quarterbacks lead the team in rushing yards a lot over the last handful of years
Yeah.
with Adrian Martinez.
Yeah,
leading
no,
the
for
team
sure.
almost every year.
He definitely had the legs on him.
Yeah.
And I've heard mentioned that Jeff Sims has ripped off some runs
A
in
lot
practice
of
so
that,
far.
it's not about design runs for. It wasn't necessarily about design runs for Martinez.
No.
A lot of
Not
that
always,
was
no.
improvising because nobody was open downfield.
And nobody was blocking for him, so
And
he had to run.
He had no
quickly.
pocket. That was the biggest
2.5 seconds, and he had to cross the line to get
Yeah.
upfield.
And then he was a gazelle.
I think this question is very hard because, again, we talked about with Satterfield's comment about how they're going to take 2 to 3 running backs in these games. They're going to play a lot of running backs, so the numbers are going to be very similar.
The comment about breakaway speed on Anthony Grant is the biggest reason I'm going with this, aside from him already doing it.
I'm just going to throw out the gamble and go with Irvin, but I think
it's an easy
they're gonna be
gamble.
close.
I think they're going to be very close.
Yeah.
What's the size difference between those two
Within
dudes?
50 yards close.
It's about an inch and about 15 to 20 pounds.
What is Irvin? 6'1"?
Irvin's 6 foot.
6 foot?
It's
Grant's
a 5'11".
5'10", 5'11"?
Yeah.
Irvin's a mammoth. He's only 6 foot.
Yeah.
I thought he
I
looked
thought he
a
was a
little
little
taller,
bigger than
but
that.
Well, that's what he's listed at on the thing.
so he's
I guess.
probably actually
Yeah,
like
they also
5'10".
listed me at 220 when I was in high school. Shut up.
220 out of 8th grade, maybe. What's the next question, man?
Last question I got for you guys, and it kind of just sums up the entire offense. Nebraska points per game. I'm going to put it at the same number as we had last year, which obviously we did not hit. And the number is going to be 30 points per game.
30, yeah.
That feels high.
does.
We have not averaged 30 points a game or more since 2018. And we've only done it once in the last 7 seasons.
I think we should reassess this number.
Yeah, it feels really high. to me.
The number in my head I have is like 24, 25 and a half, somewhere in that range.
So you want to be Iowa? 25 points a game?
No, that's what they aspire to be.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying where I think our offense.
I actually was going to put it at 4 touchdowns at 28 initially.
I don't mind 27.
27 and a half is where I'd put
Okay.
it. 30 just feels so high.
Wait, yeah, with 30,
It shouldn't.
30, it's an
but
easy
I
easy under
understand
for me.
that.
Yeah, but what did the
shouldn't,
top?
but we won
what are the
4
top?
games last year.
What were the top 5 teams in FBS last year? What they average? 31, 32.
No, 40s. If you averaged 30 points a game last year, you were sitting at 54th in the country.
No. I'm not talking about offensive ranking. I'm talking about actual ranking. Like the best teams don't always have the most numbers on offense because their defense is holding somebody. You know, Georgia didn't allow more than a couple touchdowns.
But we're
in
talking
any game.
points per game, though. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So what did Georgia average?
41
Points
and a
per
half.
game, yeah,
41 and a half?
Yeah,
Okay, what did Michigan average?
Let me just get down to where Jed's
40.4.
40.4.
So
That's okay. Maybe I'm a little. Maybe I'm feeling a little under then.
Jed, you said 30.5.
I just said 30.
Okay. At 30, you go down to rank number 44, Georgia State.
Yeah, they were. I
Averaged
have
30
them at
points a game
54th,
last
but
year.
54th. But yeah, they averaged 30 points a game. They were at 54th
Yeah,
in the
okay,
country.
fine. Leave it at 30. I actually think that's okay then. I don't know.
I think you're thinking NFL scores being 30.
NFL scores,
high.
yes, but I'm also
just said
thinking
it
about
felt
the fact
high.
that our offense has just been such a struggle the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just tough for me to imagine that it's going to, like, my brain almost can't remember what a good offense looked like in red.
Here, let me help you out. Kansas averaged 33.4 points per game. last
Okay,
year.
fine. Cool. Yes, fine. 30 and a half is good.
I'm actually good with 4 touchdowns.
Whatever. I'm gonna actually take the over.
Okay.
We
Started
talked him
talking-
into the over.
You did. You talked me into it. This
At
happened
tw-
every
at-
time
at
last year,
28
and
or
I
at
ended up
30?
fucking myself.
At 28 or at 30?
I would take it. Oh, I would take the over either way.
Okay. Are we going back to 30 then? Is
Let's
that
go
what
back
this
to
is?
30. That's fine.
I'm going to take the under.
I was going to take the under no matter what.
It's
so.
a new offense, and I think we're going to rely pretty heavy on our defense this year. So I'm taking the under,
For me, it goes back.
especially now that BJ took the over.
To me, it goes back to, as we sit here right now, 3 weeks before the season, do we have playmakers?
Yeah.
I don't know that. I have to right now say under, just because
I pray to God
of
that
what
I'm
we
wrong.
got. Absolutely.
I hope
mean-
that I'm wrong by double.
Yeah. No,
average 60 points a game.
I think
I would be
I'd
in
be interested
heaven.
to see. Look it up real fast. What was South Carolina's average last year? Because they were a team that they also had a transfer in quarterback. Satterfield's first year there,
South Carolina was 32.2.
32.2. That offense definitely picked it up second half of the season. It was more of a, hey, the quarterback's finally settled in. The situation of the offense in general has finally settled in a little bit. Things started to pick up momentum for them.
Rumors were that Satterfield was no longer calling plays second half of the season, but
Eh,
I don't know.
Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's when they got better. Maybe he's not a great offensive coordinator. We aren't going to know until the season's over, probably.
We'll find out.
But I'll take the over just because y'all motherfuckers talked me into it, and I have high hopes on the season.
I wasn't talking to you anything. I was just
you want
giving
to
you
talk
the
about
numbers.
how easy that was to just like beat him into submission?
Oh
there?
yeah, BJ taking the overly optimistic route. Yeah,
Yeah.
we really had to twist your arm on that one.
I'm sitting here in a big old vat of feel good butter. That's what I got going on right
all
now.
that red behind
I
it.
can't wait until the hell yeah.
That red on the wall is just BJ drinking too much Kool-Aid. If you know what
I
I'm saying.
can't wait until the actual season preview show because this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be You talk about Matt earlier being delusional, looking for things and stuff like that. That's gonna be you during the season preview one, just looking for things to latch onto.
The year that we don't get excited for the season is the year that I'm done doing this show.
It's
though.
not
Like,
about
that's-
being not excited. I'm
gonna drink
excited.
the Kool-Aid
I just, you know,
every year because I want to be good.
You're gonna be.
I want to be good.
You're gonna. I'm just
I
as
want
I'm
this-
jokingly saying that I'll be stunned about how optimistic you are. You're gonna be stunned about how not
Pessimistic
optimistic
you're
I
gonna
am.
be.
I'm just saying, I want this year to rule.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.